Welcome back to our Reddit cheating story. Where are you watching from? Please subscribe and let's dive in. Jessica Thompson was a successful businesswoman in her mid-30s. She was married to Robert, a kind and loving man who traveled frequently for work. They had been married for 8 years and had no children. Jessica loved her husband, but she couldn't deny the feeling of loneliness that crept in whenever he was away. One day, while Robert was out of town, Jessica received a message from an old college flame, Alex. They had been close in college, but after graduation, they had lost touch. Alex had moved to New York, while Jessica had stayed in their hometown of Chicago. Alex's message was simple: "Hey, long time no see. I'm in town for a few days. Let's catch up." Jessica hesitated for a moment, but then she agreed to meet him for lunch the following day. She told herself that it was just a friendly catch-up, that there was nothing wrong with it. But deep down, she knew that she was lying to herself. The next day, Jessica met Alex at a trendy restaurant in the city. They ordered lunch and made small talk about their lives since college. Alex was a successful lawyer in New York, and Jessica was a marketing executive in Chicago. As they talked, Jessica couldn't help but feel a spark between them. She remembered how she had always been drawn to Alex's charisma and confidence. She told herself that it was just a harmless crush, that she was still in love with Robert. But then Alex leaned in and whispered, "I've always had feelings for you, Jessica. I never stopped thinking about you." Jessica's heart skipped a beat. She knew she should pull away, tell Alex that she was married, that she loved her husband. But instead, she found herself leaning in closer, her lips meeting Alex's in a passionate kiss. Jessica and Alex's affair started that day. They would meet up whenever Alex was in town, always in secret, always with a sense of urgency. Jessica told herself that it was just a fling, that she would end it as soon as Robert came back. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, Jessica found herself becoming more and more entangled in her affair with Alex. She would look forward to his visits, counting down the days until she could see him again. Meanwhile, Robert was none the wiser. He was always so busy with work that he never suspected a thing. Jessica felt guilty for what she was doing, but she couldn't bring herself to end it. She told herself that she deserved to be happy, that she was entitled to a little excitement in her life. One day, Robert came home early from a business trip. Jessica was expecting him later that evening, and she was caught off guard when she heard the front door open. She rushed to meet him, but as she turned the corner, she saw Robert standing there, looking at her with a mixture of shock and hurt. Alex was standing behind him, looking just as surprised. Jessica's heart sank. She knew she had been caught, that there was no going back. She tried to explain, to apologize, but the words wouldn't come out. She felt like she was drowning, like she was watching her life fall apart in front of her eyes. Robert was devastated by Jessica's infidelity. He couldn't understand how she could do something like this to him, how she could betray his trust. Jessica tried to explain, to make him see that it wasn't about him, that she had just been lonely and confused. But Robert wasn't listening. He packed his bags and left, telling Jessica that he needed some time to think. Jessica knew that he might never come back, that she had lost him forever. Jessica was filled with regret and sadness. She knew that she had made a terrible mistake, that she had hurt the person she loved the most. She couldn't undo what she had done, but she could try to make things right. She reached out to Robert, apologizing again and again, promising him that she would do anything to make it up to him. She knew that it would take time, that Robert might never forgive her, but she was determined to try. Slowly but surely, Robert began to forgive Jessica. He saw how remorseful she was, how much she loved him. He knew that she had made a mistake, but he also knew that he still loved her. Jessica and Robert worked on rebuilding their relationship, taking things one day at a time. It wasn't easy, but they were determined to make it work. Jessica and Robert's relationship was stronger than ever. They had learned from their mistakes, and they had grown closer because of them. They knew that they couldn't take each other for granted, that they needed to work on their relationship every day. Jessica had learned a valuable lesson from her affair with Alex. She had learned that she couldn't rely on anyone else to make her happy, that she needed to find happiness within herself. She had learned that she needed to communicate with Robert, to tell him how she was feeling, to never let things fester. Jessica and Robert were happy together, but they also knew that they needed to be careful. They knew that they needed to work on their relationship every day, that they needed to keep the spark alive. Jessica looked at Robert, and she knew that she had made the right decision. She had chosen to stay with him, to fight for their love. She knew that she would never forget what had happened, but she also knew that she had learned from it. She smiled at Robert, and he smiled back. They knew that they had a bright future ahead of them, that they would face any challenges that came their way together. They were stronger than ever, and they were ready for whatever the future held. But the damage had been done. The foundation of their marriage, once seemingly unshakable, now had a visible crack running through it. Robert returned after a month, but the air between them was thick with unspoken accusations and lingering pain. The laughter that once filled their home was replaced by strained conversations and pregnant silences. Jessica desperately tried to regain his trust. She threw herself into making their life together better, planning romantic dinners, suggesting weekend getaways, showering him with affection. She cut all ties with Alex, blocked his number, and deleted him from every social media platform. She even offered to go to therapy, both individually and as a couple. Robert agreed to therapy, but he remained distant, guarded. He went through the motions of their life together, but his eyes held a sadness that Jessica couldn't bear. He was physically present, yet emotionally absent. He struggled to reconcile the woman he thought he knew with the woman who had betrayed him. One evening, after a particularly tense therapy session, Robert sat Jessica down. He looked at her, his eyes filled with a mixture of love and regret. "Jessica," he began, his voice heavy with emotion, "I love you. I truly do. And I want to forgive you. But..." He paused, searching for the right words, "I don't know if I can ever fully trust you again. The thought of you with him, it haunts me." Jessica's heart ached. She knew he was right. She had shattered something precious, and no amount of apologies or efforts could fully mend it. "What do you want to do, Robert?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know," he admitted. "I need more time. I need to figure out if I can truly move past this, or if the constant doubt will eventually destroy us both." He suggested a separation. Not a divorce, not yet, but a temporary break to give them both the space to heal and decide what they truly wanted. Jessica, devastated, agreed. She knew she deserved this, that she had brought this upon herself. Robert moved into a small apartment downtown. The silence in their house was deafening. Jessica walked through the empty rooms, haunted by memories of their life together, the laughter, the shared dreams, the intimacy that now felt like a distant dream. She spent hours reflecting on her actions. She realized that her affair wasn't just about loneliness or excitement. It was about a deeper dissatisfaction within herself. She had been so focused on her career, on external validation, that she had neglected her marriage and her own emotional well-being. She had been looking for something outside of herself to fill a void that only she could fill. Jessica continued therapy, working on understanding her motivations and addressing the underlying issues that had led her astray. She started taking up hobbies she had long neglected, painting, hiking, and volunteering at a local animal shelter. She reconnected with old friends and rediscovered the joy in simple things. Meanwhile, Robert also grappled with his pain and confusion. He saw a therapist, who helped him process his anger, hurt, and fear. He realized that he had also contributed to the stagnation in their marriage. He had been so focused on his career that he had become emotionally distant, failing to recognize Jessica's needs and desires. After several months of separation, Robert called Jessica. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice tentative. They met at a neutral location, a quiet coffee shop they used to frequent in their early days of dating. As they sat across from each other, they saw a glimmer of hope in each other's eyes. They were both changed, both more vulnerable and more honest. They talked for hours, sharing their experiences, their fears, and their hopes for the future. They acknowledged their mistakes and expressed a willingness to rebuild their relationship on a new, stronger foundation. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time in a long time, they felt a spark of hope, a glimmer of possibility. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were both committed to trying. They decided to start dating again, to rediscover each other, to rebuild trust and intimacy, one step at a time. Their story wasn't over, but it was a new chapter, one filled with the hard-won wisdom of experience and a fragile, yet resilient, love. Their future remained unwritten, but they were finally ready to face it together, as two people who had weathered the storm and emerged, scarred but not broken, with a renewed appreciation for the preciousness of their bond. Thanks for watching our video. Please subscribe, like, and share your thoughts. See you next time.